Right, Rob, thanks for joining us again from London this time. And tonight the Springboks, of course, playing their last pool match. All evidence suggests that they'll get maximum points from this fixture. What's the talk on the ground?
Look, they're being very cautious, Nick. I still think that there's a sort of a tsunami of fear, if you like, that grips the camp after what happened against Japan. So believe me, I don't think you're going to get any hint of complacency at the Olympic Stadium. I think they will be thoroughly focused on the job at hand. Heyneke keeps on stressing at every media briefing, every time he sees his players, I assume. He keeps talking about humility, feet on the ground. You know, they may be all well-worn cliches, but he's taking no chances in terms of making sure that his guys properly have their eye on the ball so that there can be no repeat of Japan. And, you know, I really think that lightning has struck. It's not gonna do so again. I think the Boks will ease through this game. You heard it here first. Ease through this game.
All right, Robin, in terms of personnel, as we suspected, a lot of the fringe players, or some of the fringe players, getting a run, hopefully this evening. What did you make of the team selection for this fixture?
Yeah, Heyneke flummoxed us a little bit because you know, he told me, for instance, after the Scottish victory last weekend that he was going to take a mixed approach to the game, which I obviously interpreted as being perhaps more of a combination of some of the senior personnel with some of the players who had very little game time at the tournament so far. And then when he selected his team, it's almost as if he'd backtracked a little bit, because it's as near as damn it to his full-strength team when you think about it. Yanni du Plessis is one of two changes, and you could argue that putting Frans Malherbe in actually strengthens the team anyway, because Yanni hasn't been on best form at this World Cup. He'd played some very good rugby ahead of the tournament, but at the World Cup has been a bit shaky again and been conceding penalties. He was yellow-carded again against Scotland, which I think the coach was probably pretty irate about, because he does think penalties are a bit of a concern. So, you know, and of course JP Peterson has been nursing a niggle, so back in comes Luazi and Vorval, but otherwise he's stuck, certainly for the outset of this match against the United States, with very much his tried and trusted, his first teamers. And a lot of us were very surprised when people like Skalkberger, for instance, who's been carrying an injury, Eben Etzebeth, who's put in monumental shifts, very tough physical shifts in each of the last two games against Samoa and Scotland, that he's back in a starting 15, you know, with a 4-day turnaround as well. Although, you know, there is also fairly good rationale when Heyneke says, well, you know, don't forget we have a 10-day gap until our quarterfinal. So, you know, there's a bit of a concertina press now, if you like, but they can actually relax, unwind a little bit. They will get a couple of days off after this game. So he's basically calling for one last heroic effort from the nucleus of his main players, and then you know, wanting him to step off the pedal. I think the plan tonight, although he won't confirm it, obviously, is to try to really put the United States under the cosh early on and put the game to bed as early as possible, so that he can start filtering off his kind of prize players who he does not want to get injured.
Exactly.
Guys like Dwayne Vermeulen and Farid Dupree ahead of the quarterfinal. So he's sort of, you know, he's sent in his cavalry up front, as it were, for this game. I thought he might have a star-studded bench and then throw them on late to sort of inject something into the box side if there was the hint of a wobble. But what he's doing is he's sticking with the tried and trusted and hoping that they will really do the business early on, be thoroughly focused, and put the US to bed as quickly as possible so that you can settle all butterflies.
And of course, if there are injuries further down the line, you know, the likes of Rudy Page, Morné Steyn, Pieter-Steph du Toit could end up in the first team. So, I mean, they really do obviously need to put in an impressive performance if and when they can.
Yes, I mean, I think it's quite important that some of those guys, as you mentioned, do actually get game time. I thought Pieter-Steph du Toit was odds-on to actually get a start in this game. I thought what they might do is move Lood de Jager to the number 4 block position, which is actually the jersey he's more familiar to in his rugby career, although he's done such a tremendous job at 5 next to Eben at 4. But so I thought Pieter-Steph du Toit would come in as a fresh set of legs in the engine room, because what teams have been doing at this tournament when they have quick turnarounds like this Bok game is totally refresh their tight 5. That you know, teams have tended to put, you know, leave say 4 of their 5 main front 5 players out But what the Boks have done is pretty much go with the same combination, apart from Yanni du Plessis dropping out, and that may have been almost a sort of conventional selection issue rather than a rotational one. So certain risks involved. I mean, there are some Springbok players who are sort of on a little bit of borrowed energy, perhaps. But as I say, I think Meyer will ask for 40 really courageous, focused minutes, and then ring the changes big time in the second half. And as you say, give vital game time to players who may be required later in the tournament and who've had very little play so far.